What's up, guys? Welcome to the Stats Free Sports channel. Let's get right into it. Here to give you my reaction to LeBron James sitting down with Pat McAfee. Let's get into it, man. LeBron addresses a lot of things, a lot of people, a lot of narratives. He talked about Stephen A. He talked about Brian Windhorst. He talked about relationship with Kobe, with Jordan, with Pat Riley, his time in Miami, signing with Nike. He even talked about him lying in the meme about him reading books, all that good stuff. So we're gonna talk about all that stuff, man. Give you my reactions to it and talk about what he said if you didn't see it. So let's get into it, man. Pretty timely decision for LeBron to sit with Pat McAfee. You know, he's sitting with someone who not in direct competition with Stephen A. But they're under the same umbrella, obviously, both under ESPN. But I do think there is some tension there. There is a little bit of smoke between Pat and what he's doing, and also Stephen A. and his side of the ESPN people. So that's pretty timely there, and it's a great move, great shrewd move by LeBron James, in my opinion. I like it. LeBron was seemed pretty candid for the most part. I like him cussing. I like him doing jokes. I like him doing a lot of things. You know, growing up, I'm pushing 30, right at 30, dang near, and the stars of my era, they don't talk. Even though KD has a pod and talks a little bit, Steph talks a little bit, but our super mega stars of our sports, Tom talks a little bit now. Peyton Manning talks here and there, but we don't see it enough. And I like when we see unfiltered LeBron James cussing, making jokes, taking shots. I like it. I like it. So as he getting older, as KD has gotten older, they don't mind saying how they feel. So first off, let's talk about, I guess, the most pressing topic: LeBron versus Stephen A. and also LeBron versus Wendy. The Stephen A. thing, he mentioned and took some shots at Stephen A., saying Stephen A. missed the entire point. He missed the entire point of what he said. Now, we'll call Brian cap on this. Brian said he stepped to Stephen A. partly because of his household, partly because of Bronny, but the other part because of NBA players as a whole. That's cap. That is cap. That is spinning the narrative. That is cap. He never, in my opinion, I've never seen LeBron stand up for any player publicly or behind the scenes as far as going at it with Skip, Steve, and stuff like that. Chris Broussard, never heard it. But when your son involved, he did say something there to Stephen A. So I think that's cap. I said he did mention his son, but I think mentioning the other players as a cop out is definitely cap, in my opinion. But outside of that, took some shots at Stephen A. Took some shots at Brian Windhorst. He even called Brian Windhorst "quote unquote" weird. That was interesting. And Windhorst has been, supposedly been tight or covering LeBron for a long, long time. He even said Brian Windhorst's story about him choosing Nike is partly cap. You know, he's saying Windhorst put a little bit of sauce on it as far as the Jordan aspect of him signing with Nike. Yes, LeBron admitted he signed with Nike. I mean, excuse me, he wore number 23 because of Jordan. Everybody knows that. That's a common thing. That's not a surprise. But Windhorst put extra sauce on it, saying that he signed with Nike because of Jordan also. Bron said, no, I signed with Jordan because of their style, their shoes, their clothes, their stylish clothes, as well as them giving me 7-year contract for $90 million. And I moved my mom out the hood the next day I signed the deal. Like, that's why I signed. But it gives you access to wear Jordans, to wear pennies, to wear Bo Jacksons, and so on and so forth. That's what Bron said. That makes sense. Nike had, and even if a hint of Jordan is in there because you can't wear Jordans. I mean, dog, you have the pennies, you have all the fly clothes that we know of today. Nike is the clear cut brand. They weren't back then, but they were definitely on the rise. They were definitely stylish. So I do believe Bron there. Yes, a hint of Jordan because Jordan's with Nike. Yes, you can wear Jordans, but there's more than just Jordans. There's some good stylish clothes there as well. And signing with Nike, off the court, you can wear that gear. So that makes sense there. He even talked about Kobe and his relationship there. And we kind of knew this as well. Been reported pretty heavily since Kobe's passing, but Bron and Kobe weren't particularly close. They were close to the Olympic teams. What was it, 08, 09, and then 2012, I believe, was the Olympic year. He even said he messed up. Him and his team messed up because they could have met Kobe in the finals in the '09 year when the Cavaliers lost to the Dwight Howard-led Orlando Magic. He even mentioned that, which you all knew. We all knew that was a big thing as well. That should have happened. Um, and he also mentioned that as Kobe got older and he retired, they're less competitive now, clearly because Kobe's out of the game. They became a lot closer, so before his passing. He also mentioned Jordan, his relationship with Michael Jordan. He said right now they're in a good spot, but they don't talk. Clearly, and as he said, clearly, Michael Jordan, even though he doesn't play anymore, he's a competitor. And every time you mention it, you mention the other. Jordan, LeBron, Jordan. LeBron, Kobe, Jordan. Like, it's going to be the same until LeBron officially ends his run to take down Jordan, at least his reign and how people feel about it. So he says he's sure, no guarantee, but he's sure him and Jordan will probably get a little closer once LeBron is done chasing the shadow of Jordan, which people have, him chasing Jordan or him surpassing Jordan. Once that convo is officially over, for the most part, once he finishes his career in a couple years. So I think that makes sense. Jordan is an ultimate competitor from stories that we've heard. Brian knows that too. So there's no point in talking when LeBron's still on that chase. In most people's eyes, or some people's eyes, not most, but some people's eyes, to beat Jordan or keep falling short of Jordan. So that makes sense there. He even talked about his relationship with Pat Riley, and that cookies incident where there was no more cookies. The pilots on their jet, on their plane, used to bake LeBron and whole team cookies. LeBron loved cookies. He says that's his vice. Everybody knows that. Then once, Pat Riley just said, "Hey," told the pilots, "No more cookies," and LeBron said, "Hey, where the cookies at?" On one of the flights, they said no more, and that was that. So that's when LeBron knew that him and Pat weren't on the same terms, and I get it. I get it. Something that small, something that minor. That I love those, and that's my advice. You're gonna literally say, "Nah, we're good on that." That's kind of crazy. I'm not gonna lie. So he also mentioned his time in Miami and how he was nervous for him. He was nervous. He was scared. His first time leaving his hometown, and even though he played for the Cleveland Cavaliers, he was still right there in home by Akron. So that makes sense. A kid that didn't go to college, and then I know he was a man. I understand that by the time he went to Miami, but I understand that fear, that place that you don't call home anymore because you're now in Miami. That makes sense. No excuses for that first title run. Obviously, there's no excuses there. But he even talked about as well the villain aspect of him going to Miami Heat. He even talked about it like, man, like I thought I was doing a good thing I can't even talk. By doing the decision, I thought I was doing a very good thing. I raised $2.5 million for the Boys and Girls Club. I raised awareness and stuff to that. I was trying to do something good, but it turned to a super negative that weighs on me still. Not weighs on me. I picked it up. Sorry, it's cap. He didn't say that, but he said it still put a mark on his legacy for some people, basically, and they still hold it. They hold it against him. They hold that against him to this day, simply because he made a decision. And that was something that people just don't bang with. For whatever reason, it was crazy, but yeah, I definitely think that the decision leaves a mark on him to this day from the outside people. Not from him specifically, but from outside people. They still bring it up to this day about LeBron, good or bad. Now he talks about Giannis playing in the 70s. He said Giannis would drop 250 points per game. Taking shots at some of the old heads, that's all big on the Jerry West era, all that stuff. And I believe him. Bron, Giannis, the physical freaks, the mellows, those guys could easily transition to play in those old school hard knocks games. No doubt about it. No doubt about it there. Anything else I didn't speak on yet? LeBron also mentions he does not spend $1 million on his body. He said he doesn't know where that came from. He said that is cap. That is cap. That is from what he said. That is cap. Um, Anything else that he really talks about? He talks about reading. He said he talks about reading, and the story about him reading and stuff like that, and him lying about reading books and the whole meme and situation. He played jokes and talked fun about it. He didn't really address it. He did say he does read those books for real, but he did make a joke and told Pat and them to take pictures of him reading the book and stuff like that. So that was fun there, but nothing really else to talk about. Overall, like I said before, I enjoyed it. Um, LeBron being pretty candid, a little bit of cap in there, a little bit of yapping in there, but pretty much being candid, talked about whatever they want to talk about. Didn't really turn anything down. Like I said, Kobe, Braun, Windhorst. I wouldn't mind seeing Skip in there, but Skip not really relevant these days. So talked about the book, talk about Nike, talk about time in Miami, Pat Riley. Talked about Rondo and the big three, and the Celtics should have been a big four. Uh, there was no Drake talks, no beef about that. That I seen, and that's really about it for that. But overall, good conversation. I did enjoy it. Um, and like I said, the going to Pat McAfee show was good, lighthearted, no pressure. They asked real questions. He handled them well. Overall, pretty good interview, man. So that's it for video, guys. Like, share, comment, subscribe. I will see you guys next time.